So cooking is self-care as much as people don't realize. I mean, when very cultural people say cooking, we all go like,
Hello everyone, and welcome to our self-care series. Today we're going to talk about all things food and nutrition with our friend Kiki. So I am your host, Trisha K. Williams, and Kiki over here will introduce herself to you.
Hi everyone, I am Kiki. I'm the founder of Simple Eats with Kiki. We're a health and nutrition firm, and we focus on helping individuals and communities find sustainable ways of eating while taking into account their health and well-being.
Nice, wonderful. I think that food is such an important part of surviving, really. So if we can figure out ways to, make it simple and healthy, then I think that, can go a long way. So
Absolutely.
I'm excited about this. All right. So our first question, what does self-care mean to you?
Well, I always tell everyone this, and even my clients, I tell them self-care is healthcare. Self-care is just all the habits and behaviors that promote your health, right? It's understanding managing illnesses. It's understanding when to pause, when to take a break. It's understanding when to speed up. It's just understanding even just how to care for yourself. So it's just the habits that I kind of cultivate. For me, that's self-care.
So creating habits that are going to be healthy and that's in line with your values is what's important to you.
Yes.
And being able to do that. Okay, so tell me, what are some of the things that you do that help you to maintain these values that you talk about?
So cooking is self-care as much as people don't realize. I mean, when very cultural people say cooking, we all go like, right? But cooking, planting for me, sometimes just some yoga, some meditation is good. Sometimes it's just drawing close to the word, right? So just going back to my Bible, just attending maybe a church conference, something that can uplift my spirits. Sometimes it's just turning into a prayer line, right? So there are different activities. Sometimes I go for swimming, right? Just to get my body moving, get out there, get my lungs filled. Sometimes it could be a run, right? Maybe I'm just stressed out and I just need to get out there and go for a quick run. But yeah, those are some of the activities that I use. Yeah.
Nice, wonderful. No, I'm listening to you and I'm like, those sound like you're pretty active. This is good. But yes, no, I know exactly what you mean when you talk about sort of that idea of, culturally, as Black people, we think about cooking food as arduous, like it's a task, like, oh my God, like the meals that we prepare take hours, right? But then you think about cooking as self-care for you, and I'm wondering, through your methods in business and all of that, I guess you figured out a way to make it more simple. So tell us a little bit more about your business and how did you even come into this business?
So before I had my son, I had a little inkling for fitness. So I started as just enjoying fitness, liking sports. So ran track for UBC. So I was like, okay, you know what? How do I take this a step further? I'm not going pro. So how do I make this a part of my life? I didn't want to go back and do kinesiology like the full 4 years. And a lot of times people think, you know what? I need to go do a 4-year program. You can do a diploma program, especially if you've taken, let's say, courses that are in line with, say, nutrition, right? I went back and I just took a program. I said, okay, I needed to know more. I didn't feel like I had enough knowledge, and a certificate was not enough. Like just going online, taking a certification course and coming back and saying, oh, I can tell you, I can help you eat better, live better. So I went back, took my diploma program, and from that, I started discovering that there were less people of color in my field. There were less people just who understood what it meant to be, say, African, for example, who understood what it meant, like ethnic wise, African food, African culture, just even the environment that I grew up in. So how would they be able to help me when it came to, say, disease management, if you don't really understand where I came from? And so I felt like, okay, you know what, I need to go in more. And I know I wanted to help moms, I wanted to help kids. And then I found I was pregnant. So when I started going in, I wasn't really shopping for a gynecologist, but I was shopping for one. Because the first one I went to, I felt like, okay, you know what, this is not me. You don't understand me, and you're not really helping me. And I felt like I had to advocate a little too much. So I switched and I found a lovely Nigerian doctor, and she was very helpful. She pretty much explained to me right away, okay, you need to talk to a dietitian. You have endometriosis, you have this, you have that. And here are the risks. Okay, you're pregnant, you'll be fine. But talk to somebody. She pretty much laid it out. Here are some tools you can take back. Here are some resources. Here are numbers. Go out there, talk to somebody, get the right help. And when she said that, I felt like, okay, you know what? I don't know if she did that because it was me, or if she did that because that's the love of her job, or if that was the right thing to do. And I felt like more of us need to talk to other women and tell them, like, okay, it's not that difficult. You know, there's simpler ways to understand what it means to be a mom. There's simpler ways to understand nutrition. There's simpler ways even to understand meal prepping, right? So I felt like, okay, if there wasn't a one-stop shop for all these things that I wanted at the time, I wanted to know how to be a mom. I wanted to know how to, you know, have a baby. I wanted to know how to take care of the baby. I wanted to know how to deal with postpartum. All these things, I just felt like overload. Where do I get this info? Who do I talk to? And I created the space that provided like well-researched, detailed information for people. So if they go to the blog, they can read about different health topics, right? If they talk to a dietitian, they can get proper counseling and healthcare planning properly. But I needed to be able to not only take care of myself, to be really honest, because I felt like I wasn't able to take care of myself half the time, but also to be able to kind of look back at my kid and say, okay, you know what, I can take care of you too, right? Not just what we think old school methods, how our parents raised us, but what it actually means to raise a kid, right? Giving them the right nutrition, the right foundation. And so I just created that space that not only took care of me physically, but mentally, and just provided a well-rounded service for anybody.
Yes, no, I'm listening to your story, and I could see how there was some good passion in there. You know, you're like, okay, this is a need I had in my own life, but also saw that there was a societal need, right? This idea of lived experience and gaining better understanding of the client, right? And as a counselor, I know it well. Like, you know, within our society, especially in North America, we realize that a lot of times the doctors and the professionals that are treating us are not Black. And, you know, you recognize that they don't understand sometimes, you know, your experiences and what you have to go through and your body as well, right? So you sought out somebody. And I always tell people, go. Seek out, try people, make sure you find the right fit, because it would make all the difference. And it sounds like it really made the difference for you with this person telling you where you needed to go, what you needed to do. And it sounds like it created that foundation for you.
It can be very overwhelming, right? Like I was, 23, first time parent. You don't know anything. There's no shame in that, right? And unfortunately, as much as our moms can tell you, they can't really tell you everything. There's no rule book to being a mom. There's no rule book to even being a human, right? So just getting through life every day and understanding, okay, if I have a cold, I don't necessarily need to pop a pill, right? If I have a headache, my migraine could mean something. It could mean I'm dehydrated. My migraine could mean I need more vitamins. My migraine could mean so many different things, right? My tummy ache could mean something else. Back home, we used to treat tummy ache with guava leaves, right? You never really used to go take something for your tummy.
It's natural remedies.
It was very natural.
Mint would be helping for your digestive, stuff.
Go. So it was a very, like, my grandma used to eat garlic and banana. I thought it was a weird combo. she like, oh gosh, she enjoyed it, but it was good. It was good for her. But as a kid seeing that, it's like, oh, what are you eating?
Weird, right?
We didn't understand. Like they were just treating like different symptoms as they were experiencing it, and they treated it in the most natural way possible. So for me, it's kind of like, okay, it was very overwhelming. It was overwhelming when I was a young woman just navigating the world and going through endo and understanding like, okay, what does endometriosis mean? What does cyst mean? When you experience these things, what can you do? How can you manage pain if you're not really one who wants to take medication? I'm not really into the Advils, right? So for me, pain management meant natural.
Yeah.
It meant you just kind of go through some of the pain, right? So then you become a mom. Just having that information as an African, first of all, just understanding, okay, there's a lot of like meal plans and recipe books out there for most cultures you can think of, right? But when you dive into, say, the African culture, books for, say, parents and young parents, or even just like, say, feeding kids under a certain age, there's not that many depth. Like there's not that many books out there. I searched. There's not that much. And there's a lot of practitioners who are African, a lot, all over the world, right? But not as many investing time and effort and that manpower into creating something where, say, a millennial mom can go back and say, okay, you know what, I'm not alone. You know what, I'm experiencing some of these things, and maybe I should talk to a doctor at this stage. I don't have to wait till I'm trying to have kids, or, you know. So for me, I just looked at it like, okay, if I'm overwhelmed, I can imagine this like 6, 7, 8 other mothers, or even young women like me, also overwhelmed, wanting information but not knowing where to go. So I just put it together and said, hey, you know what, just come talk to us. We'll give you everything you need. One stop.
Wow. No, I'm just listening to you, and I'm just like, I'm one of those people who want to have a little one, you know, and, you know, going through the overwhelm that you're talking about, the before process, right? And I'm just listening to you. I'm already feeling like my anxiety is going down, because I'm like, if this person, I don't want to say one-stop shop, but it sounds like you have a lot of information, vital information that you could share with, you know, women who want to get into that space of preparing to have a child, making sure that their body's ready, and getting into sort of that mindset where they can start to think about, how am I going to take care of this child and myself after, you know, the pregnancy. So, you know, I think that this is such a vital piece of information and service for our community, for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And yes, you're going to have to provide me with this doctor's name from Ghana or wherever, you know, because I need this information. Anyway, moving on. Last question. So how do we incorporate these two? Because it sounds like there's a passion for, you know, providing information to people when it comes to nutrition and taking care of themselves. How do we bridge the two, you know, self-care, and then how can people use self-care in this manner?
So most people think of like dietitians or nutritionists only when a doctor tells you need to see one, right? Or some people think, oh, I have to cough it out of pocket to see one, right? Most people don't realize like a lot of us are covered under, not MSP, but we're covered under extended health insurance, right? And when you come and talk to practitioners or therapists like us, you're coming to us for literacy, right? We put together the information so you're not stressed about it. So we've brought it together for you. We make sure that if you're looking for, say, type 2 diabetes, you're not reading about type 1 diabetes, right? Because they're not the same thing. If you're maybe dealing with infertility, for example, there's different causes, different hormonal issues, right? But it's just being able to help people on a case-by-case basis, right? A lot of times when people come to you, it's not the same, right? We can both have a migraine, but our migraines mean different things, right? So literacy, that's just one aspect. Mental health. People don't usually think of us as we solve a mental health problem, but we do. Like I mentioned earlier, food's a stressor for some people. Just even knowing what to cook, what to eat that day, where to look for the food is a stressor, right? So we help with things like meal prepping, grocery shopping. If you're in countries like Nigeria, for example, we deliver groceries all the way to your house. So we really take away some of that stress. So you just come home, all your food is there ready to go, and all you're really worrying about is making some food. We have recipes that you can use, right? So that's one aspect. Then also just your nutrition, right? Us getting you on the right balanced diet, making sure you're not eating for sustenance, but you're eating for what your body actually needs, and making sure you're healthy, right? A lot of times I tell people, we treat the root cause. We don't go after what you tell me. So if you come and tell me like, oh, you know, I have a headache, I'll start going like, okay, what caused the headache? Did you eat today? Have you drank water? We start to assess what could have triggered your headache, and then go for that problem before the headache. So there's different ways that talking to us, just even if you don't necessarily need a meal plan, we cover beyond meal planning. One thing that I've really enjoyed doing is my Project Eats, which is a feeding program. So just going to different communities, sensitizing about healthy eating, about nutrition, and then also just providing food, like raw food items, rice, beans, different items for them. And then also sometimes we partner with organizations to also provide like school supplies. But just being able to like take these different aspects of our health, right, and marry it with us, the practitioners, and bringing it to your doorstep. So sometimes you don't even have to go anywhere. You can just one click, you talk to us, you get all the help you need straight in your email or even in your WhatsApp. It's that easy.
Nice, wonderful. It sounds like quite an easy process.
Yes.
Contact Kiki and you can get a full meal prep with instructions and, you know, information after an assessment, it sounds like, to be able to begin your new journey. And I love that. And this is sort of what our channel is all about, the idea of transitioning well, and we wanting to make sure that people have the right information so they're not afraid to contact a nutritionist or, you know,
people get scared. People get scared. Most people think about the money, right? A lot of times, I mean, if you go on my website, you see the price. It's a little worrying, right? Most people think, oh my God, I don't have that much money. But I break it down this way. Think about all the coffee you bought, right? All the dinner out, all the time you subscribe to something. And then think about when you went to the hospital, right? And doctor told you something bad. If you actually look at how much you spend on all the fun activities, which is good, right? Versus how much you're actually investing in your health, right? Seeing a dietitian or nutritionist doesn't have to be like, when I have a problem, I need a meal plan, I need some help, I need some lifestyle modifications. No, you can talk to somebody because maybe you're struggling with something else, right? It could be you're struggling with just creating the recipes, right? Coming up with like an eating schedule for the week, just having to think about all the different foods you're going to eat, incorporating all the different food groups, right? Some people, that's their struggle. For others, it's just finding the time to stand in the kitchen and like make the food, right? So for different clients, we would like on our follow-up sessions, we get online and we like do different things. For some people, I cook with them. For others, we just talk about a specific topic. For others, it's legit. They go to the grocery store and I walk them through shopping from aisle to aisle. Just teaching them how to read a label. A lot of people don't realize sugar means a lot of different words, but it's still sugar. So no matter how many times you hear those words, they all mean sugar, right? Just telling people because it says organic does not mean it's organic, right? Because it says 100% natural does not mean that product's natural, right? And even just allergies. A lot of times people don't necessarily know that they have allergies or don't even know they're nutrient deficient, right? So we kind of just bring all those concerns that the everyday person is not necessarily thinking about. And then we make sure that every time you talk to us, we make sure you think about those things. And if you're not thinking, we're thinking for you. We're making sure those are answered, because if you understand those, like, you don't necessarily need to talk to a therapist all the time, right? You only say consult with us when you need us, right? If you actually think about it, I think more dietitians and nutritionists should be in communities. They should be helping like communities that don't necessarily have the access, right? Or are not necessarily like food secure. We should be less on illness management. It should be more on preventative, right? Like that's why we went to school. We went to school for preventative care, not the other way around. But I see more people with blood pressures. I see more people with diabetes. I've seen more people with stroke. I've seen mild heart attacks in like young 30-something-year-olds. And for me, it's worrying that, you know, people that young, you know, they're so stressed. They have other things they're worrying about. Some are young parents, and they're not necessarily thinking like, okay, I need to go for a walk every day. I need to do this every day, right? I need to do that. I need to make sure I eat. Some even forget to eat, right? One of my clients eats twice a day. And he tells me, I tried today, you know, I ate twice. And I'm like, yeah, that's good, not enough, right? Because guess what? You could have a heart attack, right? You could be stressed, you could pass out, you could be fainty. So for me, I just wanted to create something where if you're even thinking about like the what if, right, there's at least a resource we've put together for you that can answer it from a cultural perspective, from an African's perspective, right? Not from a Canadian, not from a North American perspective, but what it means to be like, say, for example, even West African, right? Like people who understood gari and cocoyam, and they can explain to you and give you advice on like our own food. They can write your meal plan on like your own food, and they're not gimmicks, you know? It's not pay me money for an imaginary like service or here's a meal plan. It's more so we're like your health buddies, right? We're there with you throughout the journey. And when you get to that point where maybe you're off your pressure medication or you don't need to take that meds anymore, right? Then for your arthritis, for example, then we're there, right? We saw you through that entire journey. We made sure you had all the information. If you need to talk to a doctor, we'll find you one, right? We'll find you the right practitioners, even within your area. So if you live in Richmond, you live in Vancouver, you live in Surrey, you live in New West, we'll find you somebody.
Yeah, it's like creating a community of care for people who need specific information that's going to be helping them. And I like that, you know, that idea of being able to cultivate that type of care for a community, right? Because I think it's necessary. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kiki. I appreciate you sharing this wealth of information with us. So now you can share, you know, how can people contact you? I'm sure there's so many people out there like myself who could consult with you to get this information.
Okay. So you can find me everywhere at Simple Eats with Kiki. So Simple Eats with Kiki. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm quicker on Instagram, or you can go to the website Simple Eats with Kiki, either .ca for Canada or .com if you're in Africa, and you can reach out to us.
Okay, wonderful.